Another great conversation coming up in just a moment here on Love Your Channel. This time I talked to a fashion stylist in Los Angeles. And among other things, she uses YouTube as part of her sales funnel, her lead generation funnel, to attract clients to her website where she offers her personal styling services. Really great idea. She does it really, really well. But she also has a lot to say about fashion, as you can imagine. If you're watching on YouTube, because remember, we have our podcast versions now as well, but if you're watching on YouTube, I need to add a quick word of explanation because the first time I talked to Erica online, we had a few technical issues that unfortunately resulted in not being able to use our full conversation. And so Erica, being the kind and gracious, generous person that she is, she agreed to come back another time and try it again. And so I met her once again online. We spoke again. And again, we had a couple of technical issues that complicated things a bit. That's okay. So what I've done is I've combined bits and pieces from both of our chats into one video that you're going to see in just a moment. And I mention all of this because if at some point you find yourself wondering, hey, wasn't she wearing something else just a moment ago? The answer is, yeah, she was. Sorry about that. So just remember that we're jumping back and forth between two different conversations, but don't let that distract you from what was a great conversation with Erica Ball, fashion stylist in Los Angeles. Enjoy. Welcome back to Love Your Channel, where we talk to YouTubers to learn something about their channels and get their tips and advice that you can use when growing or starting your own channel. A lot of channels in there, a lot of channels. Okay, today we're talking about fashion, and I have something to confess right up front. You might be surprised to learn this, but me personally, I have never, not once in my life, been mistaken for a fashion or personal styling expert. But thanks to the communication I've had with my guest today and spending a lot of time watching her channel, that just might be about to change. So yes, interesting things are happening here at Love Your Channel. We'll get into that a bit later. Before we continue, a quick reminder about our podcast version, our audio only version. It's available on, let me see, I always forget, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music. And so if a podcast is a more convenient platform for you, check us out on those platforms. And let me see what else. Oh, if you just can't get enough of us on YouTube or the podcast version and you still need more, Love Your Channel. And let's be honest, who doesn't? There is now a Substack version as well. So you can read Love Your Channel on Substack. You'll find text versions of all of our interviews and other materials, again, that will be useful to you when starting or growing your own channel. Okay, so all links in the description below, of course. Okay, before we go any further, let's welcome Erica Ball. She's joining us all the way from Los Angeles, California, to chat with us about her channel and much more. The channel is called Erica Ball Style. So welcome, Erica, and thanks for joining us here on Love Your Channel.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Okay, everybody gets the same first question. Let's say you meet somebody who learns about your YouTube channel, doesn't know anything about it. They ask you, what is your YouTube channel all about? How do you answer?
My YouTube channel is for women 30 and above who really want to simplify their life, but also be stylish. And it teaches you how to put outfits together. It teaches you how to build a capsule wardrobe. It teaches you how to shop smarter, how to declutter. So basically creating a wardrobe that makes it easy to get dressed and making smart decisions for what you're bringing into your closet so that you can easily put outfits together every day, no matter where you're going, and you feel good, because it's important to feel good. And part of that is how we express ourselves through our clothes.
So before we get to know more about your channel, tell us something about yourself and what you're all about. What keeps you busy when you are not making YouTube videos or working as a personal stylist?
So I'm married for almost 20 years, and I have a 10-year-old daughter who is a gymnast. And so I am very busy when I'm not making videos and I'm not working with clients. I'm very busy driving around being a mom. So trying to balance all the things of being a wife, a mom, a business owner, a YouTuber, that is what I'm doing.
Nice. Okay, how did you first get into personal styling and how did you make a career out of it?
So my background is actually in psychology. So I have a master's in psychology, and which seems like a big jump from psychology to fashion and then YouTube, but it actually is all very connected. So I used to be a therapist a long time ago, and I worked with kids and then adults. And but I'd always loved style and felt that expressing myself through style and clothes was something that felt very important to me, but I never really thought of it as a career path. And then something kind of shifted within me, and I decided to change careers. And so I started by working in the entertainment industry. I actually started as an intern for a costume designer who styled for TV and film, and slowly made my way up to myself being a wardrobe stylist and styling for television and film and commercials and print. And so I did that for about 15 years until I had my daughter, and then decided that the hours and the time away from her was too much. So then I started to gear more towards the one on one clients and the personal styling. And that is really where the psychology background comes into play, because how we feel about our clothes, how we feel every day when we wake up, and what we put on really affects us mentally. So it really is full circle. And YouTube was just an extension of that.
You know, I saw on your website, you mentioned that you have this background in psychology, and when I read that, something kind of clicked for me because when you look at your content, there's a theme running through a lot of it, and the theme is something like I'm not sure how I can put it in just a few words, so I'll put it in more than a few words. The theme is something like how your fashion choices can be a metaphor for psychological health or well-being or something like that. Fashion as a way to improve your state of mind. You remove the clutter from your closet as a way to remove the clutter from your mind. Don't spend money on clothes that you don't need as a way to maybe, keep yourself free from guilt or regret or something like that. You see this a lot in your content. And so when I read that, as I said, it kind of all made sense to me. I guess, what's it called? A Venn diagram where there's like a circle over here and a circle over here and where they overlap, right? And if you have psychology over here and fashion over here and in a Venn diagram where they overlap, I think you're in that space. Does this
Hmm.
make sense to you?
I love that. I think that is so spot on to what I try to do in my work with people and what I try to bring into the world, because I do think exactly what you said. It really is how, when we're shopping or how we're building a closet, it's so much deeper than just clothes. And especially in my work with people one on one, I see this all the time. What we put on our bodies and how we get clothes, how we shop, it really affects so much more about what just somebody thinks our outfit looks like. It really is a much deeper picture. It's a much deeper meaning. And it really, for me, personal development has always been important to me in my life. And I do feel like style is an extension of that. It's about having awareness, making conscious choices, and being present. So for me, the two worlds, I love how you said that they really do come together. And I feel like style is a way that we either choose to show up in the world or we choose to hide from our life. So that I love how you put that together.
Yeah, I find this really interesting. You look at your content and you see this idea fairly often that, here you are, you're a personal stylist. People think that the recommendation is going to be get this or get that. Actually, it's the opposite. Your recommendation is more often you don't need this, you don't need that. And it's maybe I'm reducing it to, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but again, whereas I would expect you to tell people that to go out and get this, it's usually the opposite.
Yeah. I'm not here to tell people to buy things. I think it's important to have a foundation of clothes that you feel good in. But a lot of times in our society and our culture, we're just looking outside of ourselves to get more, whether that's more clothes or more things or just consume. And I think that is a way that a lot of us use to cope, to deal with hard feelings, or to deal with, like you were saying, like if we feel guilt or regret. And I don't want to push that. I want to make you aware so that when you are buying something, it's actually something that you're going to feel good about and you're going to feel good in. So, yes, so I don't kind of consider myself an influencer. I'm really someone, I consider myself more of an educator, and I want to help people just make conscious decisions in their lives. And that's part of that is what you're bringing into your closet, being aware of what your style is and how you feel in clothes so that you're not just consuming to consume.
So at what point did YouTube enter the picture, and what made you say, yeah, this is a platform that I can use to kind of, share what I know about fashion and styling?
So when I switched gears and focused mainly on personal styling instead of working in the entertainment industry, I started to look at just different forms of social media. So I had kind of played around with Instagram. This is probably going back 5 or 6 years ago. Started with Instagram, and for a little while I was enjoying it, but then it got to a point where I just felt like it became all about influencers and ads and selling things and looking at someone's highlight reel. And what I noticed for myself is that didn't always feel great. I would waste so much time and just not get off Instagram and not feel good about myself or my clothes or my home. It always felt like I was missing something. And so I said, "You know what? That's not teaching me something. It's not helping my life. It's actually harming my life." And so I started to look at other avenues, other ways that I could put my business out there and also serve people. And so I started to dabble a little bit in YouTube, not knowing anything about YouTube at this point, really not even having been someone that watched YouTube. But I started to find that platform as a way to as an easier way to educate people and to be able to make these videos where I wasn't just showing clothes or I wasn't just showing styling tips, but it was actually about living a more conscious life overall and style being a component of that. So I felt like YouTube gave me the platform to really educate people. And it wasn't these quick little pictures or photos or reels. It wasn't a highlight reel. It was actually about serving people and helping people.
Okay, Erica, this is the part where I tell you three things that I love about your channel. And for each one, or after each one, I'll stop and get your feedback. And for each point I'm going to mention here, I've included a takeaway for anybody who's watching that can maybe use this information to start or grow their own channels. This is the easy part for you. Just sit back and relax and enjoy listening to how great you are. Okay. The first thing I love about your channel is your intro. You don't have one. You did in the early days. You did have a simple intro, like you know, hi everybody, welcome back, thanks for watching, that kind of thing. But at some point, you dropped it. I'm not sure why. I think we'll find out in just a second. But this seems like a small thing, but I really like it. I'm not saying that this works for every kind of content, having no intro. But in your case, I like that immediate immersion in the subject of the video with zero time spent on hi everybody, welcome back, blah blah blah. We all know that attention is at a premium and every second counts. And so I think why not get to it straight away? So I really like that aspect of your content. The takeaway here for anybody thinking about starting or growing a channel is that the no intro approach isn't always the right fit for everybody. And like so many things on YouTube, it's hard to say this is always the right thing to do or this is always the wrong thing to do. But in many cases, I think it's better if viewers are immersed in the topic from the first second of your video. So I think my advice is to think twice about the necessity of an intro, because sometimes you don't need one. So, Erica, was that a conscious decision to drop the intro, or did it just happen? And if it was a conscious decision, what was the thinking behind it?
It was a conscious decision. And what I've been doing more recently is throwing it in now every once in a while. So maybe every fourth video or fifth video, I'll just give a little quick intro, and just kind of playing around with that. But yeah, it was a very conscious decision to drop it because, again, it's to hear it every time. I know that's something when I'm watching somebody's YouTube channel, I don't want to hear that every time, So it was a conscious decision to drop it for the most part. Yeah.
Okay, the second thing I love about your channel is your incredible number of content angles. Okay, Erica, don't be offended here. Okay, I'm just doing my job. But I went through your library of videos, and I was looking on purpose. I was looking for some kind of repetition, some kind of sign that maybe you'd run out of new ideas for that week. You were circling back to something you'd already done, that, maybe you were taking the easy way out once or twice, but I didn't find it. I didn't find it. Every video you make has some kind of unique angle or different conversation centered on personal styling, and that's amazing. I mean, you ask me, say, hey, John, make a list of 10 angles, 10 topics that I can talk about, in the context of personal styling. I think I'm going to struggle to get past 6 or 7. That's just me. Okay, maybe it's not fair to compare us here. You're the styling expert. But my point is that you have fresh takes in every video. I think you're almost at like 180 videos as we speak right now. And every upload, as I said, is on a different topic or a different angle of a similar topic, all within the larger context, of course, of style and fashion. But I think that's not only is it very impressive, but it's a great way to communicate your expertise, that you really do know what you're talking about. So well done, Erica. I know there wasn't a question in there, but just pretend there was and run with it, okay?
So one thing that I had learned kind of in this process is it's great to have buckets, like about 5 buckets, right? Of your main or your content pillars. What are the 5 things that people ask you questions about, that you have knowledge about, and that you actually want to teach on? And so I picked kind of my 5 pillars, and then within each of those pillars I break it down even more. So one of my pillars is I talk a lot about a capsule wardrobe. So for example, for capsule wardrobe, I have a video of capsule wardrobe for workwear, capsule wardrobe for the fall, capsule wardrobe for winter, capsule wardrobe for a new mom. So there's all these different ways to then break down each of those buckets. So that's just kind of how I start to, break down my content and get more ideas.
Erica, I just realized I forgot to mention my takeaway for that second point about your impressive amount of content angles. So the takeaway, let me add this quickly before I move on to my third thing that I like about your channel. The takeaway here is that Erica is a great example of how the range of topics and subjects and ways to package your content for your audience is much larger than you think it is. And on top of that, I think it's also important to mention that the benefit of tapping into all these topics and subjects is that it helps to keep things fresh, both for you as a creator and for your audience. And so the moment you think that you're kind of out of things to talk about, you're probably wrong. So go back to the drawing board and think about it. And again, look at Erica's content for inspiration. Okay, the third thing I love about your channel is integration with the Erica Ball ecosystem. And I think this one requires a little bit of explanation. So lots of YouTubers, as you know, they create just to create because that's what they like to do. But for many people, and Erica, you're one of them, YouTube is a place to build an online presence that supports a professional life outside of YouTube, right? And you do both of them really well. You like creating these videos. That's obvious that you enjoy the process, but you are a professional personal stylist, and YouTube helps with your online visibility and attracting clients. And so YouTube is part of your calling card. This is part of what drives business for your personal styling service. In your videos, you often mention that you have a website, and you say that people can go there and get a free guide to this or that free, that you have maybe 6 or 7 PDF downloads. Very nice, each one with a nice landing page, free information about this or that. But when you mention it in your videos, it's not pushy or salesy. It's not a marketing thing. It's just, hey, if you want to learn more, go to the website, and then you bring the conversation back to the video, right? I think you do that really, really well. And so it all becomes like a kind of a sales funnel for lead generation for your work as a personal stylist. And again, you do it perfectly.
Well, YouTube, I have found that YouTube is I think because it's so widely available, the videos, the long form videos stay on forever until I decide to delete them, if ever. I feel like there's so much more opportunities for visibility for my YouTube channel than any other social media platform. And so I feel like YouTube does a great job at, with providing people when they're just Googling and they're searching for something for a topic, they'll give them YouTube videos. And I think you don't find that with other platforms. So I have found that YouTube, not only is it something that I enjoy and I love doing, but it's also a great way for people to get to, for people to find me. And then, when they're searching for something or when they have a pain point and they need help, they'll find a YouTube video, and then it links it back to, more information on my site if they want more help from me. So I think YouTube has been great for lead generation and, getting clients to find me, getting people to find me and get help if they need it.
But, I also like by the way, on your website, I also like that you have a blog version of many, not all, but many of your, YouTube videos. And so if someone lands on your YouTube channel, they hear the mention of your site, they can go to your site. If someone lands first on your site, they don't know about your channel, well, they see the blog and you say, "Check us out on YouTube." And so it creates a nice two-way traffic that again, turns into a lead generation funnel and hopefully, that generates a business for your personal styling service. And so the integration is just seamless. This is the Erica Ball ecosystem. That's what I mean. And so the takeaway here is that you shouldn't overlook the power of YouTube content as a component in increasing, again, your digital footprint of your business and integrating it with your website and creating a back and forth that helps to drive traffic and create new customers.
I would say people are coming from both, but I will say that the thing that I find that YouTube does is that it converts people because it's easier for people to get to know what I'm about, to get to feel, to get the feel for me when they watch a video that I'm doing. They get to know and see how I would work with someone, how I help, what my energy is. And you can't really get that from reading a blog post so I feel like YouTube is the way that I get the most conversions for people that wanna work with me.
I've got some other questions about your channel here. I want to ask you about your editing process. Now, with 180 or so videos under your belt, I think you're comfortable at this point with the editing process. You've probably streamlined it and it's efficient and you don't need as much time as you used to. But I want to ask you about those early days, your first, I don't know, 10, 20 videos or more. How long was it before you had the feeling that, you were getting better at this, you could get a video edited and uploaded faster, and, just generally, how long was it before you had the feeling that, you were comfortable and you kind of found your groove when it came to editing?
Okay, so I am pretty basic with this, but I use a lot of, I started using a lot of B-roll. So that was something in the beginning that I didn't really know how to do at all. Just, adding the B-roll in, there was a lot of talking head, and now I feel like B-roll is so important, especially how people watch things today. So I try to use as much B-roll as I can. And it's very simple things. It doesn't have to be, you know, something that a lot of thought and recording goes into, but just having visuals that people can relate to as you're talking, I think is really valuable. And then I use iMovie for editing. I think it's super user friendly. It's super easy. I have never kind of gone beyond that. My tech stuff with editing is very simple, and I find that that's what works. I do also have an editor that I like to use at times, and that just makes it even easier. I found someone that, she has a lot of experience in the fashion YouTube space editing, so that has made it a lot easier as well.
Rewinding a bit to what we were talking about earlier with your background in psychology and your kind of, oh, I guess minimalist. I almost want to say Zen approach. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but let's say minimalist approach to things. I kind of sense that in your approach to editing, you have a certain aesthetic, you have a certain appreciation for the visual that maybe the rest of us don't have. And I kind of see that in your editing as well. Am I imagining things?
No, I think I really enjoy finding beauty in things and just making anything around me aesthetically beautiful. I just feel like it creates just a deeper meaning in life, a kind of bigger picture, and it does break down even to my editing and how I edit. I want it to be aesthetically pleasing because I want it to be enjoyable. I want it to be something that you're learning. You can take this information, but it's also visually it makes you feel good. So yes, 100%, it definitely is also in the way I edit.
Tell me something about your approach to thumbnails and titles because I think you do both very well. Are they the product of trial and error or gut feeling or what?
Thank you. That was something that it took me a long time to get to a place where I feel like I know kind of what I'm doing with those. In the beginning, again, it was like I had no idea what I was doing, didn't know in terms of thumbnails, like what was gonna draw people's attention. But now what I've done is I one thing I do for the caption is I do a lot of SEO research and just to see what people are searching for in this realm, and just to do something short and what is going to be most grabbing. And now what I've also started to do more recently is put my idea into Chat GPT and get other ideas. Okay, how can I this is what this video is about. This is the one visual I want and the phrase I want to put for a thumbnail and YouTube video. Give me 5 other ideas on how I can make this even more appealing to people. And honestly, I've gotten some really good ideas through ChatGPT. It is one of the ways that I've started to integrate into my business using that. Just to have another, it's like having another person give you some feedback and some other ideas. So that's how I do it. And with thumbnails too, I do a lot of research. So there's channels that I really like to follow in my niche that I think they're doing a great job. They've been around longer than me, and I like to see what they're doing. I get kind of inspiration and ideas for how to make it something my own. And that's kind of that's my process. And it's I think about the thumbnail and the phrase I'm gonna use before I even shoot. So that's something I also learned along the way. Before I was an afterthought, but now I have a whole process that I do in the research phase when I'm coming up with video ideas, where I am coming up with, okay, what's a good thumbnail for this? And what's a good, catchphrase for the thumbnail?
Have you ever gone back and changed a thumbnail or a title because maybe you thought they were underperforming, or maybe you had a better idea later, or for some other reason?
I have done that a couple times on my some of my older videos when I didn't really know what I was doing with thumbnails. Some of my older videos that I felt the content was really good, but the thumbnails weren't. I've gone back and changed, but it's not something I've done regularly. I would actually like to do that a little bit more. Um, and I think that's a great practice for people. But just for me, at this point, I'm not, you know, I don't have a lot of help with what I'm doing, and I'm working with clients. So I do as much as I can and I do the best I can, and then I put it out there and I'm okay with what comes back at this phase.
What do you use to make your thumbnails?
So I love Canva for thumbnails. Um, Canva is my go-to for thumbnails. It's super easy to just, play around with lighting or edit, different fonts and just make things pop more. So that's definitely one of my go-tos.
Here's another question that I like to ask everybody. What kind of satisfaction do you get from YouTube? I mean, apart from any financial or professional considerations, what keeps you coming back and creating more and more?
It gives me an outlet separate from working one-on-one to actually reach more people and help more people feel good in their clothes and be more intentional with their life. And that for me is very rewarding. When I get those messages from women that have watched a video and have said, this has helped me so much. I've been struggling with this for years. And now I know how to go forward. That is what this is all about for me. I mean, even from and again, it goes to full circle back to why I studied psychology. My my purpose here is to help people, whatever vehicle that is at this point in my life. It's through style and having people feel good in their clothes and how they show up every day. But it's really, um, YouTube gives me that platform to connect and help more people.
Any advice for how to streamline your production process and get the most out of the time that you invest in creating content?
Yes. What I have found, and this is also something I had learned from other just entrepreneurs and people that are creating content, but I have found that when when you start with one thing, whether it's you're going to be filming, you kind of get in the rhythm. So the first one might be a little slow, maybe you're making more mistakes when you're talking, you have to go back and record a few things more. But by the second, third, fourth one, it's just kind of flowing easier as opposed to like, okay, I'm going to shoot one video, then I'm going to go edit. It takes a different part of your brain to then go and switch off and, okay, now I'm going to like switch into editor mode. It just takes more time. It's not as efficient. And I have found that just batching, shooting, 4 or 5 videos if I have the time in one day is so much more efficient. And it's like by the time I'm shooting the fifth video, I'm not making mistakes. It's like I'm in the rhythm and I'm talking and it's easy, it's flowing. So that's what I have found is a great, like, just easy tip that I would recommend.
How about any regrets on your YouTube career looking back on it so far?
I would have started sooner, 100%. I would have started, 10 years ago instead of like trying to do Instagram when I had started it, because I think I started Instagram first, which I don't really do anymore. But I wish I had started YouTube earlier, for sure.
On top of creative energy and ideas and so on, you need time to invest in YouTube, right? Have you ever found it a challenge to find that time to maintain the consistent publishing schedule you'd like to keep?
I have that all the time. Even now, there's times where I'm like, "Oh, I have to shoot tomorrow." And then it's like I have to prep, I have to plan, I have to get my outfits together. And there's definitely times where I don't wanna do it, but it's in my calendar. I've made the commitment, and sometimes you gotta do things you don't wanna do. I say that to my 10-year-old daughter. We all gotta do things we don't wanna do sometimes. You gotta go to school sometimes if you don't want to. You gotta show up for your life if you want it to look a certain way. So, I just even though, yeah, there's some days I don't wanna do it, if it's on my calendar, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna push through, and then it's gonna the emotions are gonna leave. They're gonna change just like emotions come and go. So, that's, there's times I still feel that.
Okay, Erica, let's get to the part where we get your tips and advice. Okay, big question. This is like maybe two or three questions in one. So let me get through it and then you go in any direction you want to. Okay. So looking back on what you've done, 180 videos plus, right? And everything you've accomplished so far, looking back, what would you do differently if you could start over? And on top of that, big question, like I said, on top of that, give us a few bits of advice or maybe some tips for people who are watching who are thinking about getting started or thinking about ways to grow their own channel.
Great questions. So I don't know if I would do anything differently. Honestly, I think this is one of those things that you have to dive in, and whatever it's going to look like in the beginning is what it's going to look like. And it's a process. And I kind of knew that going in. I knew the first probably 100 videos weren't going to be great. Even now, when I make videos, I feel like I'm still learning. I still want to learn because it's part of what I like about YouTube too is that you can't make a perfect video unless you have a whole team that's editing, that's you're on a set, like Mr. Beast or something like that. You can't have the expectation that your video is going to be perfect, your editing is going to be perfect. It's a process and it's a learning process. And some people are going to love it and some people might not love it. And that's okay. It's your work that you're putting into the world. So for me, I don't think I would do anything differently. Now, are there things when I go back to my older videos and wish were different? Yes. But I'm aware that it's a process. So I think it's important to get started. It's important to know what you want to share. Do you want to just share things about your life and just build a community that way? Or do you want to be an educator? Or do you want to be an entertainer? What do you want to bring into the world? Because YouTube can help you do that, and it's important to be consistent. There are times in my life, I'm going through them right now, where I haven't had time to film. I haven't had time to, I feel like I'm behind a couple videos. My daughter was sick and there was just other life things that took precedent, but I know I need to get back into it. So it's not just giving up and saying, "Oh, I stopped filming for 2 weeks and I'm just going to give up." You got to get back up and do it again. If this is something that you feel passionate about, if it's something that you want to bring into the world, then you got to do it. And there's no video is going to be perfect. You just got to be better than the one before. And I think that we get into this place and the way our culture is in society and social media. And I see it a lot having a 10-year-old and she's, being bombarded with all these things in social media. And I think we have to start taking our attention away from that and bringing our attention back to ourselves internally. And what is it about us and who we are that can actually serve people, that can help people, that can make people laugh or teach people something. And that's what I think is important to bring into the world. We need more people to bring their experience, their sense of joy and what they've learned into the world, because that's what's going to create that community. That's what's going to help other people. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, it was a big question. Like I said, you can run any direction you want to. So that's fine. That's fine. What would you say to someone who's maybe watching right now who's thinking about starting their own channel?
So, starting a new channel, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but it really is just start. Just start. You don't, you, I am the perfect example. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I don't have fancy equipment. I just had a reason that I wanted to show up and decided this was the platform I wanted to show up um, in. And be really clear on what your channel's about. Is it about entertainment? Is it about you want to teach something? You want to educate people? What do you want to bring in the world? Because that's what's going to make it stick. If it's just an idea that, you saw somebody else do or something that is a trend, it's not something that you're probably going to want to do 6 months or a year from now. It has to be something that you feel passionate about, you're excited about, you're interested in, and that you know something about. So pick what you're going to make your YouTube channel about, something that resonates with you on a deeper level that you can see yourself doing a year from now, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. And and then stick with it. Start, be consistent, batch your content. That's another big one that I started doing a couple years ago. There's one day I spend a month researching, creating all the topics for my videos, writing out a script, not a detailed script, but a bulleted point script, and figuring out my thumbnails, and then picking a day where I'm batching, where I'm shooting all those videos, and then picking a day where I'm editing. So it's really about having systems in place, following through, and making sure you pick something that you're going to want to stick with.
Let me ask you about. I want to get your thoughts on. Oh, what can I call it? The downside, maybe the darker side of YouTube. I know that sounds ominous, but let me explain here. And again, I'm combining two questions into one. I want to ask you about two
Mhm.
things in particular. One, at any point, did you experience a kind of frustration that YouTube didn't realize that you existed, and you kind of wondered if everything was connected properly? And have you ever come face to face with maybe the beginnings of some kind of burnout? And if so, how did you deal with that?
Again, great questions. I feel like right now where I'm at in my channel, I feel like I had been posting consistently every week. I've been doing the research and making the content and adding the B-roll and having an editor. And I definitely feel like at this point, I feel like my channel's a little bit stalled, which I have had to kind of think about and reassess and figure out, is there something that I'm not doing or I could be doing differently that people would want to watch? And what I'm not I don't really have an answer, but one thing I am seeing more is that people, like you said earlier, like people want to know you. It's not just about you being an educator or you being an entertainer. It's really about they want to know who you are, what makes you tick as a person, as a human. I think that's really what people are wanting right now in today's world. There's so much, as we know, with AI and so much content out there, there's so much information. So, what is going to make someone want to watch your video or get familiar with your content? It's you, it's who you are, not so much what you're teaching. And I think for me, that's something new because I've always kind of kept my personal life separate. I I don't like to share a lot of my personal life just because of preference, honestly. I want to protect my daughter. I want to protect the life that I have. I'm not someone that I want to be recognized on the street. Um, I feel like I'm more of an educator. So I've kept those two separate, but I am realizing that I might have to bring more of who I am and more of my not just as an educator, but who Erica is as her life, as a mom, as a wife, as someone who, struggles like everybody else in different parts of their life. So that's new for me. So I'm kind of figuring that out. And that does also feel like along with the line with the burnout, I wouldn't say like I'm feeling burnt out, but I'm definitely reassessing everything and taking a step back, and in that way needing a bit of a break to see what's the next version of Erica Ball style.
Looking ahead on Erica Ball style for the future or to the future, any particular goals or kind of objectives in terms of subscriber count or views or number of videos or monetization or sponsorship or going in a different direction or anything like that?
I have a goal that I would like to continue to grow my channel. I think it would be amazing to get to even 50,000 subscribers. Um, I think as a creator, when you're putting content out there, you want people to benefit from it. So for me, yes, growing my channel in that way is really important. In terms of sponsorships, I've done a couple. They're not something I only choose sponsorships that I actually feel good about sharing with my audience. But again, I don't want people to be buying more unless it's something that's going to benefit them. So it's not a big focus of my channel, the sponsorships and the brand collaborations, but continuing to use my channel as a funnel into my world, as a way that if people want more help to work with me one on one or to take my course, I think that is kind of more of my focus to continue to let people know that this is something that I do and that I can help if they're looking for that.
If you want to learn how to put together the perfect wardrobe, to get the right clothes for your body type, tips for each season of the year, learn how to be a better shopper, learn how you can kind of clear the clutter from your closet. Clear the clutter from your closet. Yes, I said it. And get the basics, the classics that you really need to kind of create your own look and much, much more. You know where to go. Erica Ball Style, link in the description, of course, and I'll put a link to her website as well, because it should also be clear that if you need a personal stylist, your search is over. Go visit Erica Ball online and start a conversation with her to learn more. Erica, thanks so much for joining us on Love Your Channel, and
Thanks so
best
much,
of luck
John.
going forward.
Thanks so much, John, for having me.
Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us this time. Don't forget to like or subscribe. Don't forget about our podcast, our Substack, and everything else. And we'll see you next time on Love Your Channel.